Yeah, I never did it for the match appeal. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Really do. Welcome back to the Chelsea News, the daily series here on the channel, mate, where I reflect on what's being said about the Blues, which, of course, at the moment is a lot. Giving you my opinion on it, but more importantly, as always, asking for yours. Defenders, big names being connected with the big club in SW6. Dumfries, some other guys. Fofana has finally risen to the surface. If you watch my content, or if you've watched my content for a long time, you'll know I absolutely adore Wesley Fofana and think he is so perfect for Chelsea. Is it realistic? I'm not so sure. We'll also talk about Timo Werner to Juve, how Chelsea like Harry Kane. Yeah, of course they do. Settle in, get comfortable, make sure you consider to drop a like on the content if I can speak English. That's really helpful. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. A click of a button. Let's see if we can get over 3,000. Is that realistic? Hey, it's up to you. You can make the difference. You're welcome to subscribe if you're yet to do so. And if you choose to do so, what do? Well, I'll tell you, mate. You hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. A bit lower today. Ooh. Cool. So, I'm quickly going to start on this. Christian Falk of Bild, German publication, with his true tick checkmark on Twitter. Harry Kane is very interesting for Chelsea, but the club believes that Spurs would prefer to sell Kane to a club like Bayern instead of to an English competitor. If Kane won't sign a new contract at Tottenham... Sources confirming, of course, Chelsea did want Harry Kane. In fact, Thomas Tuchel would have preferred Harry Kane over Romelu Lukaku, but of course, great difficulties with the relationship with Tottenham and Daniel Levy. That goes back since the Modric days when Chelsea wanted to buy Modric before he went to Real Madrid. There is not a great relationship there. Though personally, I think Harry Kane might actually quite like coming to Chelsea. You'd think he wouldn't go to Arsenal because Arsenal are the North London rivals. And of course, they don't really win that much. Chelsea win a lot. He gets to stay in London. His kids are being raised in London. And you can't really see Harry Kane being the cultured individual to go and learn a new language off different shores. No offense to him, but, you know.
Ja, obviously, guten Tag and wie geht's and yeah.
Etc. Sorry, I had to bring out the Harry Kane impression. I do think he's England's captain. I'm an England fan, but it's just a bit of fun. It's just a bit of fun. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's probably bollocks. But yeah, it does make sense. Harry Kane's interesting to Chelsea. I think Bayern Munich would love to sign him to replace Lewandowski. If they can get 4 years out of prime Harry Kane, he'd probably do excellent out of there. And, I'd rather him at Bayern Munich than at Tottenham. Look at it that way. So I'm all for that. And I'd love him at Chelsea. Can't see it happening, though. We'll move on. So, Timo Werner, lovely guy, funny, good laugh, runs around a lot, great guy. Fabrizio Romano originally tweeting, Timo Werner could leave Chelsea this summer. He's one of the names on Juventus's list, alongside Allegri's priority, Morata. Was already discussed during negotiations with De Ligt. Chelsea also tried to include Timo Werner in the loan talks with Leipzig for Mukiele, and then Romano quoted said tweet and updated us with Nouveau Information, saying, discussions and contacts have been made between Juve and Chelsea for Timo Werner. They started yesterday, which might be the day before yesterday now. Juve are exploring this idea alongside Morata. Top of the list for Allegri. Chelsea could let Timo go on loan this summer. More to follow also on other clubs soon. This is interesting, and I'll tell you for why. Because you might think a loan, come on. So this would be the third. Has Timo Werner been at Chelsea for 3 seasons? Lampard's first, 3 seasons. So he's gonna only have like 2 years left on his deal. So really, you'd probably want to sell him now. But the thing is, a loan would sound good because if he scores a lot of goals in another league, like Serie A, I'm not sure, scoring loads of goals in the Bundesliga translates to scoring loads of goals in Serie A. Because, of course, the Bundesliga is a very transitional, high lines running into space, suits Timo Werner down to a T. down to the T of Timo. I'm not sure if that's going to be the same in terms of the Serie A football. But if he does really well, you'd think he'd increase his value, his market value, and therefore they could sell him for more after a loan. In theory. But let's, I'm trying to quickly look on Transfermarkt as we speak to tell you when his contract runs out. 2025, yeah. So he's got 2022. Yeah, so 2023, 2022. Okay, so maybe he's got 3 years left on this deal. No, he's not. He's got 2 years left in this deal. Whatever. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, and I'm losing my mind. 2 years left on this deal. Maybe they've got an option for an extension in there. Chelsea often do that, a 5+1 or whatever. So maybe they send him on loan. He comes back after scoring goals at Juventus. They trigger an extension, theoretically, if this does exist, and then he's worth more money. Who knows? Look, I think there's stories been circulating that, he's not necessarily seeing eye to eye with Thomas Tuchel. Despite being a hard worker and a professional, I think probably Tuchel didn't like the comments of how he would be happy elsewhere. Look, man, it's no secret that Timo Werner won't be happy with his career in the sense of minutes, playtime. He has played a lot ever since he's come to Chelsea, though, lest we forget. He's played a lot. He has been important at times, certainly in the Champions League run, semi-final, and also decoy run for the final goal. All these things, he was a part of that team. He was important. And I can't imagine if you said to Timo Werner, would you change coming to Chelsea? If he didn't win the Champions League, he'd probably be like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have come, even though I got paid loads. But because he's won that Champions League, you'd think he'd be like, yeah, it was good, but I'm still young and I want to go and score goals again elsewhere. And he's not been miserable. He's, like I say, he's a happy-go-lucky, fun guy. People sing his name. The Chelsea fans adore him. The match-going Chelsea fans. So it's not like when he's at Stamford Bridge or when he's, near the away fans, he's having a miserable experience with the fans getting on his back. No, far from it. They adore him. They sing his name. So it's not like he's having that extra. I mean, he's put pressure on himself and probably got inside his own head. That's why he doesn't score the goals. But in terms of the experience, it's been fine, man. For that, well, I don't know what's going on in his head, of course. But he hasn't had that getting on his fans or you're not fit to wear the shirt. He's had the support. He's had profound support from Chelsea fans. So we'll see what happens. Interesting to see he go to Juventus. If he does, best of luck to him. I certainly wish him well, and I will have more fond thoughts of him than, of course, the likes of Morata, who's been mentioned in this story as well. He didn't just dive and whinge all the time, Werner. He got up and he carried on running and pressing, and that's what we like as fans. Let's move on. So, defenders. Chelsea moving for Denzel Dumfries. I'm going to read you an article from the Evening Standard from Nizar Kinsella. But quickly, I want to talk about Wesley Fofana. He's being loosely linked to Chelsea. Broken all, I don't know if originally broken, but certainly Cy Phillips spoken about it before Sky Sports referenced it. So shout out to Cy Phillips for having that information. I love Wesley Fofana. I know a few people that do. I know Joe Tweedy, who goes on podcasts. You might know him as well. He's a big fan of him as well for a long, long time. Before he had his leg break when he was playing for Leicester, I was like, this kid is absolute mustard. He's young. He has just signed a new long-term deal with Leicester. But if you said to me now, Jan, you could sign one, centre-back to replace, I don't know, a Christensen after you've replaced Rudiger with Koulibaly or something, I'd say Fofana is absolutely mustard. I'd always prefer Fofana much more than Jules Koundé, though it'd cost more money. Speculation is at the moment that he'd cost £70 million. People might be like, whoa, it's way too much money, and they're doing a Harry Maguire, putting a premium on a player. But the truth is, Fofana won't be like Harry Maguire. He'll be like N'Golo Kante purchase. He'll be like Ben Chilwell purchase. He won't be the Danny Drinkwater Maguire. He'll be in the Kante and Chilwell. People moaned about Chilwell when I said get him. I said he's worth the money, 50 million. People said no, buy Tagliafico. No, buy Alex Telles. Look what's happened to them both since. I think Tagliafico's gone for a few million euros, 4 million euros or something to Lyon or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's worth buying these players. His mentality is second to none. Yes, he had a horrific leg break, but the way they have rehabilitation now, I would love it. In the words of Ronaldo, I would love it. And I think I deserve. highly unlikely as things stand. Let's move on. So Nizar Kinsella's writing on the Evening Standard, of course, the new paper he writes for, talking about Denzel Dumfries. We're going to look at his stats too, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there is a concern about this transfer, and we're going to talk about it in just a moment. Chelsea move on to Denzel Dumfries after Jules Koundé becomes Blues' latest rumour failure. Chelsea are switching to Milan's Denzel's Dumfries after the frustration of the bid to sign Jules Koundé. Bearing in mind, Dumfries is a wing-back, not a centre-back, which red flags come up everywhere thinking about Reece James as a centre-back. The Blues' bid fell slightly short of Koundé's asking price, but they were reluctant to go further for the 23-year-old, who was initially unsure about. Barcelona have now taken over as favourites to win the France international signature, with the approach that mirrors the hijacking of Chelsea's bid for Rafinha, but they currently also remain short of the asking price. They apparently have bid less than Chelsea. They're going to end up with a player, but bid less than Chelsea. And they're probably going to do it in add-ons and structured payments that they probably won't be able to pay. But to be honest, I'm kind of over the whole Koundé thing. Chelsea have missed out on key targets, with Bayern Munich beating them to De Ligt and Man City blocking their 45 million approach for Ake. Inter need to sell one major player this summer, and Chelsea have looked at both Skriniar, the centre-back, and the wing-back Dumfries. Of course, Skriniar has also been heavily linked with a move to Paris Saint-Germain, but they've been put off by like the €70 million asking price, which is a lot for the centre-half, TBH. The Serie A giants have received approaches for both players, and already with PSG attempting to sign Skriniar. There you go. However, Inter raised their asking price for the Slovakia international to £69 million. That's probably near 70 million euros-ish. After missing out on their ideal replacement in Torino's Gleason Bremer to rivals Juve. Bremer would have been a great signing, of course, good signing for Juve. They prefer to sell Dumfries, who've attracted the interest of Manchester United, having already replaced him with Raul Bellanova. With uncertainty around which defender the Blues will sign, there's little clarity for Ethan Ampadu, Levi Colwill, or Malang Sarr on whether they will need to stay or go on loan next season. Of course, Cesar Azpilicueta is pushing for Barcelona as well. Look, man, people are freaking out about the Dumfries situation because he is a wing-back. And if he plays, everyone's assuming it will be to push Reece James into right centre-back. We know Thomas Tuchel likes Reece James at right centre-back. He says he probably prefers him 51% as a wing-back, but 49% as a centre-back. Which basically, he says pretty much the same, but if you had to choose, it'd be wing back. But if you said to him, right, you can't, you'll sign this guy as a centre back and then it's cheaper or more, I mean, look, having Reece James as a right centre back and an attacking fullback in front of him probably could be very, very nice. But we all don't want to see Reece James as a right centre back. We want to see him as a right wing back. He's like one of the best, if not the best right wing back in the world. Certainly, that sort of niche position. He's probably up there with Hakimi. And I worry, because Reece James wants to be Chelsea captain, he wants to be at Chelsea forever. But if you're going to push him into right centre-back for the long-term plan, and you've got the likes of Man City and Real Madrid that have expressed an interest in him, that are both at the top of their game, that would play him as an attacking fullback, you got to think, is he going to want to play centre-back? Let's have a look at the stats for Dumfries. Ooh, transition. Didn't really time that well. This is his scouting report versus fullbacks. Of course, he's a wingback, so a little bit more advanced on FB Ref, and this is what he's strongest at. So he's a sort of offensive wingback. His XG is 0.2.3 per 90, which is in the top 1%. Same for non-penalty plus assists, so all the top 1%. Shots on target, pretty impressive. Doesn't pass out of bounds. He's top 1% for loads of metrics. Now, touches in the attacking penalty area, nearly 6 per 90. I saw a stat online that Denzel Dumfries last season had more touches in the attacking penalty area than Kai Havertz, who's been playing as a striker at Chelsea. Now, that's probably like a skewed stat in the sense of Chelsea don't get him into the play enough. Maybe Kai didn't play as many minutes as Dumfries. Kai likes to drop deep. He doesn't hang around in the penalty area. There's, mitigating circumstances. But of course, it makes for a good stat on social media. This wing-back has got more touches in the opposition area than your striker. He wins penalty kicks, top 1%, and then he's pretty strong metrics for everything else. He likes to do long shots. He's again non-penalty stuff, goals, creative actions is pretty good. He dribbles a lot. He pressures in the attacking third. He tackles in the attacking third, which Thomas Tuchel likes. Look, he looks pretty good, man. Like, he looks like a good, he's been talked about loads. He's Dutch, isn't he? I think he plays in the Netherlands, and he's been talked about for a little while now. Denzel Dumfries is an exciting attacking player. If we just want to buy him as cover, because when Reece James is there, we ain't got nothing. We play Azpilicueta there, who, by the way, wants to leave. If it's like, look, we just don't have cover, he's cover, and they'll rotate. Great! Wicked! I'm here for it. And then maybe, Reece James plays right centre-back sometimes. Chalobah plays there sometimes. Maybe an additional new signing centre-back plays there sometimes. Please, Wesley, Fofana. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But I understand why people are freaking out about that a little bit. What do you think? Interesting. Certainly a big story that's circulating around Chelsea media at the moment. New signings are good. Don't freak out. Chill out, eh? We need new signings. We need to get rid of Deadwood. Pour one out for Malang Sarr when he leaves and all that. To be honest, let's talk about Malang Sarr before we end the video, because I do feel bad with this, people saying, giving him, stick and, blocking Colwell, and he's, high wages. By all accounts, he's in immaculate shape. He's really one of the boys. He's actually quite popular. He's really welcoming to Sterling and talks to everyone, and he just does what he's told and had the old good game. And I always feel bad when these fit guys become figures of hate when all they're doing is their job and being really professional. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to end the video there. Let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. I'll be keen to read your responses. And, of course, I'll react as quick as possible to any big news. So keep it locked. Turn on that sweet, sweet bell, baby. And I'll see you soon, mate.